Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be why women prefer to earn your attention. I've got a good email success story. This particular guy has been following me since 2011, he says. I've done 2 video newsletters in the past answering his questions. And so he wrote a really good success story. I guess apparently for like the last 20 years, he and his guy friends get together and they kind of have a boys only weekend, no girlfriends, no wives, just a bunch of dudes drinking, partying, having a good time. And so what's interesting is apparently in the cabana next door, there's a couple of girls. And so they end up coming over and hanging out with him and his guy friends. And what's great is he applies perfectly what I teach in my book. And by the end of the night, he's hooking up with the really hot girl. And so every guy that's watching this is going to be in a situation where there's a few girls and a lot of dudes, and all the guys are trying to get their attention. And so what's amazing is how well he implements what he's learned from me, and the women start pursuing him. This is something I talk a lot about in my book and in previous videos. This guy did a good job of detailing exactly what happened, what his attitude was, what he said, and how he did things to cause her to chase and pursue him and choose him over all the other guys that were vying for her attention all night. So I got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and then I want to go through his email. And the quote says, "Women are more attracted to men whose attention and validation they have to earn. Why? It's about engaging their emotions and causing them to feel something." Important word be feel. Women are more in tune with and connected to their emotions than men are. If 10 other men are paying attention to a woman and trying to earn her attention and validation, but your attention is elsewhere, they will wonder why and seek to find the answer. This engages their emotions and makes them wonder why you don't seem to be interested. This also creates attraction and makes you more desirable than all other men, even men who are more attractive. Women put a ton of effort into looking good and being attractive because they are biologically driven to seek out attention and validation from men. Let women pull you into their world instead of trying to force your way into theirs. So it's an art. It's not about just acting like you don't care or being a dick. If you think about it from this perspective, what guys are normally not going to pay attention to the really hot girls? Guys that have plenty of girls in their lives, maybe too many, maybe guys that are married, guys that are taken, are not going to be hungry, and they're just going to treat any regular woman, if he's happy and he's satisfied in his relationship, they're going to treat any woman like any other girl that comes along. And women are going to start to wonder, well, why isn't he, all these guys are all over me and paying attention to me, and why isn't this one guy paying attention to me? And then they're going to seek to find out. Obviously, if it turns out he's married or has a girlfriend, that's not always going to deter the women, because then it's a challenge. And you can use this understanding, especially when you're in a situation like this guy is, to be the one that both girls are wondering about. And then while all your guys are doing, your guy friends are doing everything they can, or just maybe you're in a bar or a nightclub, maybe you're at a friend's house at a big party, this is going to cause you to stand out, to be mysterious, because women are going to have to, remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And this email perfectly illustrates what that means, how it works, and how to, in subtle ways, interject yourself in conversations and interactions so they start becoming more curious about you and wonder why the hell you're not paying attention to them, because that's what they're used to. Especially the beautiful women. The really hot ones are used to guys paying attention to them. So let's go through his email. He says, "Corey, I've been a long-time follower of yours, dating way back to 2011. Well, thanks for sticking around all these years, dude. I appreciate that. In the past, you've done Skype and email coaching with me, and I've been fortunate enough to have 2 of my emails made into video newsletters. The first one was Why Strippers Make Good Playmates." And he says more, and that was a long time ago that I did that one. "And more recently, Dating Labels Are Unimportant." He says, anyway, I recently had an interaction with a woman where I used key principles I've learned from you over the years to land a very unexpected but successful hookup. Here's a little backstory. I'm currently 37 and have been attending an annual boys' weekend held every summer at a friend's cottage for the better part of 20 years. All the guys get together and we gamble, drink, and generally have a blast. The key here is it's a boys' weekend. No one brings their wives or girlfriends. And in all the years I've been attending, I've never seen any females show up. Well, that was the past. Well, the latest edition of Boys' Weekend just passed, and for the first time ever, 2 girls showed up from a neighboring cottage, it turns out. And when I saw them for the first time, I barely paid them any attention. The one girl looked average, and the other actually looked pretty hot, but had a real loud mouth, which I found to be a big turnoff. And he says, I tend to like the girly girls. So how is he behaving? If he's desperate to find somebody, to meet somebody, he's going to probably try harder. If he has choice with women, he's going to be very selective and kind of have the attitude of, is this girl good for me? And he's going to more kind of tend to sit back and observe. He's not going to be a dick or rude or anything. He's just going to have the attitude of, what's so special about you, without really saying that. And obviously beautiful women are used to being surrounded by the 97%ers, the guys that are going out of their way to perform like a seal and do things to get their attention. He says, anyway, throughout the night, I noticed most of the guys were vying for this girl's attention, but whenever she came near me, I was cordial, but showed her no interest. It was just like, he just treated her like one of the gang, basically. Didn't matter if she was smoking hot, she's just another human being there. And meanwhile, all the other guys are being extra nice to her, going out of their way to get her attention, to wait on her hand and foot. Hey, you need a drink? Would you like some food? And the more I was ignoring her, the more she was hanging around me. Remember, as I said in the quote, women are biologically driven. I mean, they go with makeup, hair, nails, tight outfits. They're driven to get attention. And when a guy's not giving them the attention, they want to know why. And on some level, they're thinking, why doesn't he like me? Do I have a cave bat hanging out my nose? A little booger there? Does he not like me? Does he not like my voice? It sounds silly, but it causes the woman to start questioning herself, especially when everybody's paying attention to her. But one guy, he's just treating her like any other human being. Nothing really special. She's just another person. It's going to be nice, can be friendly. It's amazing how well this works, especially when you're at a group setting, and especially when you're around guys that have no idea what they're doing. He says, as it was getting late into the evening, she started dropping hints like, where are you sleeping tonight? She's putting herself into his orbit, throwing things out there to see what he does with it. She's extending an invitation. She's going, woo, pay attention to me. And the more she tries to get his attention, and the more she has to work for it, the more this engages her emotions, and the more she feels attraction. Because his mind is somewhere else. He's got a purpose. He's got a mission. This is the kind of thing that happens to him all the time. He's used to pretty girls wanting to talk to him, and so he doesn't treat her like she's any different than any other girl. At that point, I made the move to isolate her from whoever was left awake, and we went to the front yard where we were alone. So she's in his orbit this time. She's like, where are you sleeping tonight? In other words, can I sleep with you? Can I sleep in your bed tonight? And so the whole purpose of seduction is to get closer and closer to a woman until you end up inside of her. And so he's aware, because he knows the book backwards and forwards, that would be 3% Man, which you can read for free on my website by subscribing to the newsletter. You can also do an Audible free trial and get the audiobook for free. But he learned the fundamentals, and he knew what to do. He knew the signs to look for. He knew the body language cues to look for, things like playing with their hair, leaning in, getting extra close. Like, I'll give you an example. I was hanging out this weekend with a bunch of friends, and there was a fiance of one of the friends who, it was funny. We were all having dinner together, and I'm just minding my business, doing my own thing like I normally do. And this dude's fiance sits next to me. And what's funny is her fiance sits across the table from her. And then she says, I don't like these seating arrangements, which she's really saying is she actually likes the seating arrangements. And what was interesting, because I'm just kind of paying attention out of the corner of my eye, I'm occasionally messing with her, very attractive girl. And I notice she just starts leaning over towards me, and then her legs are up in the booth, pointed towards me. It's like a magnet just turns her right towards me, and I'm just treating her like any old person. I made fun of her, messing with her occasionally every now and then. And it's just amazing the effect that just being this way has on women, even women that are supposedly taken. That doesn't mean you should take advantage of that, but because what's in my book gives you a lot of power, and the idea is you want to use it wisely. You don't want to be a dirtbag. So back to the email. He says, we talked for a bit while drinking, and in that conversation, she started asking things like, do you have a girlfriend? And other obvious buying signals. So again, she's looking, is this guy single? What's the deal? At that point, it was past 3 a.m., and I knew it was time to seal the deal. I told her I had my own room and was going to go lay down, but she should join me. He extends an invitation. Do you think he's worried about rejection at this point? It's all over her face and all over her body language. She said, I'm just going to sleep for a few minutes. Sure. With no time, we started making out, and it was on like Donkey Kong. It turned out that she had a killer body and was way hotter than I'd given her credit for. Remember, the average woman goes on a first date with a guy with the attitude, is this guy good for me? It's great to adopt the same mindset and the same attitude of kind of being skeptical. I mean, if you're going on to buy a car and you go onto a used car lot and some dude starts coming up and telling you how great this car is, your bullshit meter is going to start to go off a little bit. And you're going to be like, well, let me take it for a test drive. You're going to be skeptical. And you should kind of be the same way when it comes to dating, because it has an amazing effect. It makes them work harder and try harder for your attention and validation. The next morning, we woke up and had sex again, erasing any doubt that she could blame it on the alcohol the night before. Unfortunately, she was spotted sneaking out later that morning, and words circulated quickly. Needless to say, I was the talk of the town, and all my buddies were asking me questions and making such a big deal of that, all the dudes there, that I was the one that got her. How awesome is that? He's definitely the alpha and definitely the leader in his group of guys, even if he didn't start out that way 20 years ago. Now they're wondering, what the hell, dude? What changed? What changed in you? 3% man, that's what happened. So he's just like you preach: hang out, have fun, and hook up. Noticing the hook up is at the last part. Hang out, he's hanging out, having fun, and then he has fun while he's hanging out, and he hangs back. Girl starts to get his attention and interest. Little by little, it draws her in. He sees the cues, he knows what to look for, the body language, all the buying signals. I mean, it's easy, effortless. There's no fear of rejection in this. And yet every guy he's in the group with, they're trying to come up with things to get her attention. And notice, she gives them none. It says, whether it's a traditional date or a random situation like I found myself in, the same principles apply. My only fail was the fact that I didn't have any rubbers with me because it was a boys' weekend after all. But as you teach, always plan for the logistics of sex. Fortunately, I skated this time and nothing came of it, but I learned a valuable lesson to always be prepared. So does that mean you had a raincoat or you went all in the raw? But you definitely should always be prepared. ABP, always be prepared, because you just never know. He says, I hope that wasn't too long. pretty stoked to share with you. That's a great success story, dude. Good job following the fundamentals and doing the right thing, because you got the results. And so if you have a situation, whether in your personal life or maybe in your professional life, and you'd like to get my help, you can go to my website, understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen or at the bottom on the toolbar, and book a coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.